let's see, joined a native Guale rebellion, finally destroyed San Miguel del Guade. These Africans, rebels, disappeared from history and presumably blended into the indigenous population as many of their counterparts had already done in Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Cuba, and Mexico. Despite the slaves' arson at Guadalupe, all subsequent exploration to El Florida also incorporated Africans. The exploration could not have succeeded without them. Pánfilo de Narváez landed approximately 600 Spanish and unknown numbers of Africans somewhere near Tampa Bay in 1528. But that expedition too proved a disastrous failure, undone by hurricanes, supply loss, and separation of forces. Among the 4 survivors who came back from the dead after 8 years wandering along the Gulf Coast westward to the Pacific was Estevan, an African whose linguistics and healing talents greatly contributed to the group survival, drawing on lessons learned in the fortune when in Peru, where Africans also fought alongside Spaniards against the Inca. Hernando de Soto hoped to succeed in Florida, where his predecessors had failed. He outfitted ships in Spain and stopped in Cuba for additional supplies and personnel, including free and enslaved Africans and large numbers of natives. Let's see here. Porters. In 1539, De Soto marched them all on a brutal and circular route through 11 modern states in the southeast southwest, along which many deserted. One enslaved African, Gomez, helped a captive. Now you see that's Casiac escaped from the Spanish control and returned to her headquarters near the present-day Camden, South Carolina, where he became her consort. Other sub-Saharan and Moorish slaves and Spanish too from this expedition also went over to natives. For the next 3 centuries, the Native American nations of the vast territory of Florida provided a potential haven for Africans rejecting enslavement. Let's see, the first present Spanish settlement of Florida was finally established by Pedro Mendez de Vestas in 1565 as Spanish colonists and other African slaves began building a new settlement and planting crops at St. Augustine. Mendez made an exploratory tour of his new providence and found a shipwrecked mulatto named Louis living among the Calusa nation to the south. Louis had been part owner of a richly laden vessel out of New Spain that wrecked on the Florida coast a decade earlier. His knowledge of the Avis language and customs saved subsequent Spanish shipwrecked victims, including some of African descent. Mendez ransomed 18 Christians found in the southern villages, including Louis. The Calusa chief, Carlos, released 5 Spanish, 5 mestizos women from Peru, and an unarmed black woman who returned to St. Augustine with Mendez. Louis at. So, awful lot of Spanish folks got awful lot of Africans had these Spanish names. Don't you think that's interesting? And man, this is an unarmed black woman, and that's where I wonder, because black during this time would have meant pale. Huh. The chief, his name is Carlos. That's also funny too.